tonight, provincial politicians offer their 2 cents on the federal budget. Rural representatives reach Regina for midterm meetings hosted by SARM. And a controversial decision by a Saskatoon judge goes before Saskatchewan's top court.
Live from our studios in Regina, this is CTV News.
Good evening. Lee is back tomorrow. The Saskatchewan government is holding off when it comes to any criticism of the new federal budget. The finance minister says while he would have preferred a smaller deficit, it is understandable given the circumstances. As Wayne Mantika reports, the province is now waiting for more details on how infrastructure programs will work.
The new federal budget has a large $78 billion deficit, but Saskatchewan isn't being overly critical.
But first blush, large deficit, obviously be concerning, but understandable. We're in a situation in the world today where economic headwinds are affecting revenues, I think, of all jurisdictions.
The 406-page document promises to downsize government through a reduction in the civil service. There are also plans for nation-building infrastructure projects. Saskatchewan is waiting to learn what that might mean for the province.
Happy to see that infrastructure program. Again, trying to get some details on that. Was a very high-level announcement. We want to see how they envision it. We had announced previously that if they do an infrastructure program, we'd be in for our third.
Saskatchewan communities are preparing a wish list.
Well, as we know, the Downtown Event and Entertainment District will happen one day, and we are hoping that that will be a joint initiative with other orders of government. And it's unclear at this point if or how our project could fit into that. So we'll be listening carefully to those details.
The NDP opposition sees potential.
This is a potential game changer. There's a lot of opportunities, a lot of talk about investing in the things that we've been calling for, going back months now, that critical trade-enabling infrastructure, those pipelines, those power lines, those rail lines.
The province expects to have a better understanding of the budget after being briefed by federal officials. Those talks are currently underway. Wayne Mantika, CTV News, Regina.
Staying at the legislature, a Saskatoon family is calling for changes in health care after they say a recent trip to Royal University Hospital left their loved one traumatized. CTV's Stacey Hine has that story.
This is how Lloyd Coquell spent nearly a week lying on a gurney in a busy Royal University Hospital hallway.
It broke him.
The 74-year-old went to RUH last month for an inner ear infection. He says he spent 6 days in the hallway before being moved into a room. During that time, he was across from constantly opening doors and surrounded by noise.
It wasn't even a quiet hallway. If you've been in the hospital and you know the sound of the gurneys and the carts going by non-stop, this is what you get 24/7.
Coquell says there was no privacy, with hundreds of people passing by each day. His family says that puts him at risk, since his blood cancer weakens his immune system. And Coquell isn't alone. More patients have been speaking out about hallway care in recent months.
We want to make sure patients are getting treatment in appropriate spaces, and some of the stories, quite frankly, are just not acceptable.
Health Minister Jeremy Cockrell says work is underway to improve patient flow and expand capacity, with 109 new acute care beds at Saskatoon City Hospital over the coming year. In a statement, the Saskatchewan Health Authority said it acknowledges capacity pressures and said it regrets the difficult experience for the Coquells, adding it welcomes the chance to meet with them.
We just want people to know that, no, this doesn't work.
The Coquells say they have written to the government and the SHA urging change, so no other family has to go through the same experience. Stacey Hine, CTV News, Saskatoon.
The city of Regina is working on its wastewater infrastructure along with upgrading more of its playgrounds across the city. In a meeting today, councillors approved submitting an application to the Canadian Housing Infrastructure Fund to help design the city's wastewater capacity upgrades. If approved, the city will receive up to $700,000 through a cost-shared agreement between the federal and provincial governments. Council also approved setting aside $1 million in its 2026-27 budget for parks and playground upgrades. The new grant program will allow communities to apply for funding towards playground infrastructure.
We currently have 152 playgrounds in Regina. And I think at the current rate with the budget, we could only do about 1 or 2 refurbishments, but now we're doing all our playgrounds to a new standard. So currently in the city of Regina, we have 4 playgrounds that would meet accessibility standards, with another 2.
Turnbull added the additional funding would help all new and existing playgrounds meet the new requirements in Saskatchewan. Rural issues were front and center as representatives from all over the province arrived in Regina for the opening of SARM's midterm convention. Damien Smith has more.
One of the biggest gatherings for those living in rural municipalities is taking place in Regina. Retention of new farmers and authority on firearms were topics of conversation at the Saskatchewan Association of Rural Municipalities midterm convention. SARM also wants to keep working away at cyber security.
Being suspicious of links, checking the links before you click on them, checking the email address to make sure it's a legitimate email address before you respond to it. And with the use of artificial intelligence now, it's getting harder and harder to see those scams come through.
This year, RMs have lost $775,000 through cybersecurity fraud schemes, most notably the town of White City and the RM of Edenwold, which lost a combined $697,000 after a fraudster posed as a wastewater authority. Most of those funds have since been recovered.
You know, we do everything to protect our stuff, and we encourage RMs to use the best devices they can obtain and to protect their interests and their issues, their finances.
Cybersecurity is recommended, and SARM is reminding municipalities about the importance of two-step authenticators.
It's an extra step, and it takes a little longer to gain access to your account, but it truly is one of the easiest and fastest protections you can put on everything you deal with.
On the topic of technology, SARM would also like to see better internet service in rural areas, saying only 59% of the province has consistent connection.
The service has actually, I think, got poorer in the last couple of years since we've gone to 5G. It's so valuable in our GPS and the equipment that we have in our farm equipment today to populate programs from one screen to another.
The SARM midterm convention will be back tomorrow for a second day in a row, focusing on topics such as food and farm care, as well as bridge infrastructure and funding. Damien Smith, CTV News, Regina.
Time now to check in with Sabine Ahmed for our first look at weather conditions. And Sabine, that forecast for the West Final just continues to drop lower and lower. How do things look tonight?
Well, tonight, I was going to say well, tonight it's starting to cool. We do have precipitation on the way, but the good news is that for the West Final, as of right now, no precipitation. We're going to start out with the sunny conditions, clear conditions for kickoff. I'll talk about that coming up in the full forecast. But what we dealt with today, for the most part, we did see mostly clear conditions, a lot of sunshine. But as you can see over the last little bit, we have started to see that precipitation arrive from Alberta, mostly in the form of rain. But for some parts of Saskatchewan, that rain will be turning into snow, and Regina and parts of southern Saskatchewan will also be getting some of that snow. Now, temperatures currently are sitting not too bad. I mean, the daytime average right now usually would be about 3 or 4 degrees. We did warm up to 6 late this afternoon, but as Cole mentioned, those temperatures are going to keep getting cooler and cooler, and I'll have those details coming up in your full forecast. Cole?
All right, thanks, Sabine. Well, a high-profile impaired driving case went before Saskatchewan's Court of Appeal today. It surrounds the stay of a charge issued by a Saskatoon judge due to the accused not being tried within a reasonable time. Jacob Carr has the details on the case.
An Appeal hearing was held here in Regina to overturn a judge's decision in a high-profile case involving a child's death in Saskatoon 4 years ago. The Crown is appealing Saskatoon Judge Jane Wooten's decision to stay Taylor Kennedy's charge of impaired driving causing death in the collision that killed 9-year-old Bailey Maurice. On September 9th of 2021, Maurice was walking her scooter along a Saskatoon crosswalk when she was hit by Kennedy's truck. At the scene of the crash, Kennedy told officers she vaped marijuana and microdosed magic mushrooms the day before. Kennedy was charged with impaired driving exceeding the prescribed blood drug concentration of THC causing death. In December of 2024, a Saskatoon judge stayed the charge, ruling that she was not tried within a reasonable time. The Crown is asking the Court of Appeal to lift the stay and send the case back to Judge Wooten for a decision based on the evidence. In their arguments, the Crown cited instances such as the trial being derailed by minimal notice of a charter issue raised by the defense, which they claim complicated the case and gave prosecutors little time to gather evidence in response. Defense lawyer Thomas Hines compelled the court to dismiss the appeal, stating that Judge Wooten did not act in error and that, quote, this case simply took too long. After hearing arguments from the Crown and defense lawyer Thomas Hines, judgment on the matter was reserved by the court. The decision is expected to take a couple of months. Jacob Carr, CTV News, Regina.
The Crown has closed its case in the Saskatoon murder trial after the aunt of the accused returned to the stand for a second day of questioning today. CTV's Laura Woodward has the latest for us.
Andrew Rosenfeld's aunt, Robin Vermette, was back on the stand in her nephew's murder trial. Rosenfeld is accused of shooting and killing his girlfriend, 20-year-old Nikera Brown. She was found shot in the head on November 15, 2022, inside the apartment she shared with Rosenfeld and Vermette. The aunt testified she was in her bedroom with her cats when the gun was fired. The Crown pointed to inconsistencies between Vermette's testimony in court and a statement she gave to police just hours after the shooting. Vermette told court she was, quote, extremely doped up during that police interview. She testified she takes about 24 medications a day, including sleep aids. Court heard the couple got into an argument before Brown was shot. After being shown her police interview transcript, Vermette confirmed the fight was sparked by Snapchat, testifying Brown was upset about what she saw on Rosenfeld's account. The Crown's case is now closed, and the defense is expected to call its first witness on Thursday. Laura Woodward, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Ceremonies were held at the Saskatchewan Legislative Building today ahead of Remembrance Day. The ceremony was held to remember Saskatchewan civil servants who sacrificed their lives fighting for this country, held in the rotunda of the Legislative Building. It was attended by the Premier and government MLAs, along with government workers and military representatives.
Remembrance Week is just an important time for all of us here in Canada to recognize the service and the sacrifices of so many Canadians who, whether they were public servants, whether they were just in regular life, answered that call to service. And, you know, whether they went overseas, whether they served domestically, they put that uniform on. And so we take this week to recognize that.
Following the ceremony, the Premier laid a wreath at the War Memorial on the Legislative Building grounds. A brand new mural has been unveiled at the First Nations University of Canada. The new mixed media art installation showcases the history and spirit of the First Nations University. The mural has been a legacy project months in the making and was led by alumni and created by students on the Regina campus. The piece tells the university's story through the eyes of its students. Guided with teachings from the elders, it also shows the school's future for generations to come.
It's student storytelling, and the strength that they have, hearing what this place means to them and how it's transformed their life, and having that expressed again through song and dance and poetry and through visual art is just simply incredible for me. It's overwhelming.
The mural was made possible through a MasterCard funding grant. Still ahead, the implications of a dramatic floor crossing by a Conservative MP to the governing Liberals. Plus, Donald Trump's tariffs, including those on Canada, go before the United States Supreme Court.
We will never forget. bravery, your strength, your sacrifice.
The very best and bravest of our nation, these heroic souls stood on guard for freedom.
Join the CTV News team and me as Canada comes together to remember.
Remembrance Day 2025, Tuesday morning at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific on CTV.
Some dramatic moments on Parliament Hill over the last 24 hours as the Prime Minister tries to sell the budget with a Conservative MP crossing the floor to join the Liberals. Mike LeCouture has the details on a move that ended up overshadowing the budget itself in some ways.
A clearly content Chris D'Entremont welcomed by a lively Liberal caucus. The Nova Scotia MP says his decision to cross over came down to serving his constituents and issues with Pierre Poilievre.
Over the last number of months, I wasn't feeling that I was aligned with the ideals of what the Leader of the Opposition had been talking about.
I'm honored. The newest Liberal accompanied the Prime Minister to his post-budget press conference, where Mark Carney had this message for all parliamentarians.
Wherever they're sitting in the House, this is a time where we need to act as a country, be as unified as possible.
D'Entremont's former caucus colleagues questioned his move, given his record.
6 months ago, he ran on an affordability agenda. He ran to lower deficits. He ran on a stronger economy, pro-growth agenda, and he's turned his back on that.
But the former Conservative says others in that caucus are also mulling over a move.
I would suggest that there probably are those that are in the same boat, but I will let them tell their stories if that time comes.
Attempting to quell recent rumors that she is crossing the floor, Conservative Dominique Vienne released a video reaffirming her commitment to the party. But if others do go, some pollsters predict problems for Pierre Poilievre.
It is a rare thing for a member of Parliament to cross the floor, especially one in an environment as polarized as Canada is today. And I think that suggests, it would be a signal that Mr. Poilievre has a real challenge in keeping the party together.
The Liberals wouldn't say if they're actively recruiting other MPs to join the government caucus, but when asked about it, Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand said, the more the merrier. Mike LeCouture, CTV News, Ottawa.
Freedom Convoy organizer Tamara Leach is appealing her mischief conviction from earlier this year. Leach's lawyers say they'll argue that while there was substantial evidence that she encouraged protesters in the 2022 mass demonstration to be peaceful, lawful, and safe, there was no evidence linking her to the misdeeds of others. They also say the trial judge failed to give effect to the principle that the Charter guarantee of freedom of expression protects communication that would otherwise be mischief. The U.S. Supreme Court is weighing in on one of the most economically significant cases in decades with potentially huge implications for Canada. At issue, whether or not President Donald Trump's emergency tariffs are legal. Joy Malbin reports.
The Handmaid's Tale protesters are back, demonstrating against Donald Trump's tariffs and use of presidential power. The president has slapped tariffs on more than 90 nations, including Canada, by declaring a national economic emergency. The justices heard arguments whether Trump's use of the 1977 law without congressional approval is even legal.
My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day.
It's the president's signature tool to strike new trade deals, claiming it addresses trade deficits and protects manufacturing.
President Trump has negotiated agreements worth trillions of dollars with major trading partners. Unwinding those agreements, he warns, would expose us to ruthless trade retaliation.
It's a congressional power, not a presidential power to tax. And you want to say tariffs are not taxes, but that's exactly what they are.
Even some conservative justices seemed skeptical.
My question is, has there ever been another instance in which a statute has used that language to confer the power?
Only President Trump has. Several states and small businesses challenged his tariffs, and lower courts agreed he's overstepped his authority.
They're gloating all over all the billions of dollars that they're collecting. They think it's great. What they don't say is they're collecting it from American businesses.
Trump's tariffs have cost Canada billions of dollars in lost business, straining relations with the U.S., and with trade talks stalled over an Ontario anti-tariff ad.
Such trade barriers hurt every American worker.
This is like somebody's driving the train. We're kind of in the back cars, and we don't control its speed, and we don't control its destination.
President Trump posted this case as life or death for America, with his most significant economic policy at stake. The court's expected to rule swiftly within weeks or months. Joy Melvin, CTV News, Washington.
Meanwhile, major automakers are urging the Trump administration to extend the North American free trade deal. General Motors, Tesla, Toyota, and Ford say the deal plays a key role in supporting jobs and supply chains across the industry. The comments were made ahead of the 2026 formal review of the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement. A group representing the Detroit 3 automakers said the agreement enables automakers operating in the United States to compete globally. 11 people have died and more than a dozen others were injured when a plane crashed at an airport in Louisville, Kentucky. It happened during takeoff yesterday as the UPS plane was leaving for Honolulu. Emergency workers are searching for more victims. The governor has declared a state of emergency to deal with the fallout from the crash. The FAA says the National Transportation Safety Board is leading the investigation into the crash. There's been another deadly strike on a boat in the Eastern Pacific. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth confirmed there was a strike, saying the boat was carrying drugs. Hegseth said the attack killed 2 people, bringing the number of people killed in Donald Trump's campaign against drug smugglers to at least 66 over 16 strikes. A U.S. aircraft carrier is also heading towards the region. The U.S. government shutdown is now the longest ever. The impasse between Republicans and Democrats continued into its 36th day. It's unclear how long it could last, but there is increasing pressure from Americans facing lines, delays, and cancellations at airports ahead of a busy holiday season. Roughly 1.4 million federal employees have not been paid. Democrats scored major wins in state and local elections last night, one of the biggest in New York City, where Zoran Mamdani has been elected mayor.
So, Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up.
Mamdani went after U.S. President Donald Trump during his acceptance speech. Democrats also swept the governor's races in New Jersey and Virginia, contests that were widely viewed as the first test for Trump since he returned to power 9 months ago. Another key victory came in California, where voters approved a plan to redraw congressional districts to benefit Democrats, offsetting a similar move to benefit Republicans in Texas.
I can see.
Still to come, curling an 8-ender in your 80s. How one Alberta senior pulled it off.
The countdown to kickoff is on. Thursday on Your Morning, we are teeing up this weekend's Hardy Cup final with the Regina Rams and the Saskatchewan Huskies.
Let's just take a moment. Look how beautiful that picture is. As we take a look outside, the sun has set, and it's starting to set earlier and earlier as we move into November. Temperatures also dropping. The warmest we got up to today was 5.9 late this afternoon, currently sitting at 2 degrees with the winds just over 20 kilometers an hour. As we head into tomorrow, the temperatures expecting to be a little cooler as well. The average daytime high usually, depending on where you are in the province, hovering around 2 or 3 degrees degrees or even reaching into the 4-degree mark. But we will start to see those temperatures drop even more as we head into the weekend. Now, this is what we were seeing over the last couple of hours. Mostly cloudy conditions in the southwest. We had very clear conditions for many parts of the province for most of the day. But as we're heading into the evening, this system is coming in from Alberta, bringing with it first rain. So that is what we're going to start to see as we head into this evening. And you'll start to see it arrive in the form of rain. And we'll see a little pocket of rain coming into the southwest. And then we have this band of snow that's going to start to come in from Alberta, starting to come through the Saskatoon, Prince Albert area. It's going to largely stay further up in the Prince Albert area, even into Meadow Lake, seeing most of the heaviest snowfall. But this system will eventually combine with the one that's bringing rain, because we will start to see that transition from rain to snow. You'll see that right there. So as we head in to the rest of tomorrow and by Thursday evening, you can see most of the area will be seeing snow. Parts of Estevan could still see that rain, but eventually the rain will change into snow. You can see that right there, leaving us to start our day on Friday with mostly cloudy conditions. But again, you can see in the southwest there, another system with mixed precipitation, freezing rain, snow and rain coming through the southwest, eventually changing all to snow. And then by Friday evening, most of it staying in the southwest or even down in the south central area. Assiniboia, Swift Current, Maple Creek seeing the brunt of that snowfall coming through. And that'll clear out. By the time we get into Saturday, your morning starts off cloudy, but I promise it will clear and we will see mostly sunny conditions Saturday. And here's a quick look at snowfall totals. So yeah, Meadow Lake, Prince Albert expecting to get up to about 10-12 centimeters of snow. Trace amounts for most of southern Saskatchewan. Yorkton, Swift Current could see up to 7. Maple Creek could see up to 6 centimeters of snow. I know that says the 72 hours, but the snow is expected to clear by the time we get into Saturday morning. So this is what we're expecting between now into Saturday morning for snowfall totals. Temperatures, though, also starting to be a little cooler than what that seasonal mark is. -3 tomorrow and cloudy for La Loche, -1 for La Ronge, and snow in Prince Albert, -1 there. Light snow and 0 is for Lloydminster, and then we'll continue to see more of that snowfall. Rain in Saskatoon tonight, turning to snow tomorrow, 1 degree there, 1 for North Battleford, and snow and +2 for Yorkton. The southwest, though, seeing much warmer temperatures, 13 and a mix of sun and cloud for Maple Creek, 11 and rain for Swift Current, 12 and rain for Moose Jaw. The southeast, similar story, 13 for Estevan and Weyburn, 14 for Assiniboia. We're not getting into the double digits tomorrow. We will see the winds pick up tonight. Winds blowing up to, gusting up to 57 is tomorrow's daytime high. Expecting the rain tomorrow as well. Cloudy on Friday, -1 is the expected high. By game day Saturday, -4, -1 and mainly sunny on Sunday. And then we see a little bit of a warm up with 9 degrees on Monday with a mix of sun and cloud, and then back into that seasonal range by Tuesday and Wednesday, mainly sunny. Now, as for game day, I will have a little bit more of an accurate game day forecast coming up on Friday. But as of right now, it looks like at kickoff, it'll be about -5, feeling closer to about -10. But winds are looking quite nice. The winds will be probably up to about 15. So we won't really see strong wind gusts. We're going to have sunshine all day. So just dress in layers. It's a perfect day for football in November, especially playoff football. So I know you're going to be making your way to the game.
That's right, and I'll take no snow and no wind if that's the trade-off for
you got it.
More chilly.
I want to say that I'm not going to guarantee it because we know things can change.
Of course.
But as of right now, no snow. It's going to be -5, feeling like -10. So just layer up.
Still going to need to break out my heated vest. I got to find the battery for that thing. Thanks, Sabine.
You bet.
Well, like a shutout in a hockey game or a perfect game in baseball, scoring an 8-ender is very rare in curling. Now picture doing it when you're 80. That happened recently at a Calgary curling club. CTV's Glenn Campbell has that story.
Ingrid Saunders has been curling for 50 years.
I love curling, the camaraderie, the challenge.
Recently, the 88-year-old skip and her team was up for the challenge. They did something most curlers never do. They scored an 8-ender.
Well, it wasn't planned, but after I seen 6 yellow stones, my mind was walking, and it walked. soft.
Team Saunders is all the talk right now at the Garrison Curling Club, and rightly so. The odds of scoring an 8-under is very rare.
A hole-in-one, the odds are 1 in 12,000, and an 8-ender in curling is 1 in 120,000. So most people don't even come anywhere close to it.
The unbelievable part of this story is it's not the first 8-ender for Flo Volko. She also did it back in 1992 at a women's bonspiel in Banff. This time around, the 81-year-old was throwing skip stones for Team Saunders. She was shocked to have yet another 8-ender.
Because I had a pacemaker put in, and this was my first day back curling. No warm-up, no anything. I got on the ice, and the curling gods were with me.
Saunders says curling keeps her young, and she plans on playing for a little while longer.
Maybe 90. We hope a couple more years.
As for Volko, perhaps she should buy a lottery ticket.
People keep saying I did go buy one, but I didn't win.
Glenn Campbell, CTV Sports, Calgary.
Coming up, Lee Jones and Wes Cates will preview the West Final and the Riders' opponent on this week's edition of X's and O's.
Wardrobe consideration in part by Colin O'Brien Men's Shop.
Well, the Saskatchewan Roughriders have somewhat of a tall task ahead of them in the BC Lions, especially since they're led by a quarterback up for most outstanding player. Donovan Mace has more on the Green and White's preparations to tame Nathan Rourke.
Despite having home field advantage in Saturday's West Division final, the road to the Grey Cup is no easy trip.
I could give you a list of obstacles. Their defense is playing really well. Their special teams, I thought, was the star of the game last week, and then their quarterback's pretty good at football.
Rourke wants to throw down the field, drops it in there to Everhart.
That quarterback, Nathan Rourke, is up for Most Outstanding Player and Most Outstanding Canadian. He's second among CFL QBs in passing yards and touchdowns.
Fakes it, keeps it, touchdown!
Plus, a dual threat of his game, making him more dangerous. Rourke was 8th in the league in rushing yards with over 560, including a 70-yarder against the Elks in Week 20.
A guy like that gets outside of the pocket, we know he can run. He broke off a 70-yarder, scored a touchdown. So, he has that, and then he can still make plays throwing the ball downfield when he gets outside of the pocket. You just keep him uncomfortable, man. I mean, he's a person, so he'll make mistakes if you keep him uncomfortable. Nobody's perfect, so just throwing different things at him and just trying to keep him off his game as much as we can. They always have a good plan.
Rourke has played in one previous West Final back in 2022 against the Bombers in Winnipeg, where he completed just 54% of his passes and threw 2 interceptions.
The environments are very similar. It was colder a couple years ago, and it might also have been louder.
The Riders did defeat the Lions in last year's West semifinal, and now they'll be looking for another playoff win over BC, this time with a trip to the Grey Cup up for grabs. Donovan Mace, CTV News, Regina.
Welcome to another edition of X's and O's with Wes Cates. West Final style as the Riders get set to host the BC Lions, who beat Calgary by 3 last weekend. So, Wes, we know it's going to be Nathan Rourke and crew. And what is the biggest concern that the Riders defense has to worry about? Is it Nathan Rourke's legs? I know he has a lot of passing yards, but man, he seems to be able to get that big run in every game.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the biggest thing, Lee. I think that Nathan Rourke's legs is going to be a problem, but I think Calgary kind of gave us a bit of a blueprint. They were getting some good rush up the middle that was really causing him some problems. It was taking him off of his throwing spot and really making him decide, should I run, should I escape the pocket, and kind of got him into some trouble. He got hemmed up in some sacks. So I think getting interior pressure for the Riders defense is going to be key this game. Micah Johnson and the crew are capable, but how well are they going to be able to do that? And then also, how is Coach Mace going to sprinkle in those linebacker blitzes that always seem to be so timely and work so efficiently? So I think definitely getting Nathan Rourke under control, but James Butler is a problem as well, so I think those linebackers keeping an eye on him, leaking out of the backfield, or just BC trying to get him the ball in space on the screen passes and that sort of thing are going to be key for the defense. They've got big receivers. I think if you're looking at man-to-man matchups, that's going to be a problem, so it's going to be about getting to Nathan Rourke and giving him problems. If it's going to be him throwing to these big receivers, it's going to be a long day for those DBs.
Good news, Riders secondary looks like it's ready to go. Sales, Milligan, all practicing, so get some bodies back there. Offensively for the Riders, A.J. Ouellette, cold weather game. This has got to be what they got him for, essentially.
Exactly. I mean, and the run game for the Riders has been working well. I think the key on the offensive side of the ball is get that run game going, run at Matthew Betts. Matthew Betts has been a terror for the CFL coming off that edge. He's bigger, quicker, and faster than you would expect a guy of his stature. So he's been causing offenses a lot of problems. So I think just running at him, getting him tired, maybe, running some games to kind of make him kind of wonder, get him kind of in the spin cycle with a little bit of run pass option, that sort of thing will definitely bode well for the Riders offense. Obviously, plenty of receivers. Who's going to be up on the roster is going to be the question, and how well those guys are going to play. But yeah, stick to the run game and then let Trevor Harris handle it when he has to.
Yeah, Robustelli might play if Keyshawn Johnson can't play. I don't think Johnson's going to go, so you could put in Robustelli in there, and he has shown he can get the job done. Trevor Harris, what is your confidence level with him going into this game after seeing what he did for the first bit of that last game?
Yeah, I think he's ready. I think he's focused. I think Trevor understands that he doesn't have too many more opportunities at this, so he's got to make good on them. And this is the one. This is one of the best teams he's had around him. He understands he has the studs at receiver. He's got the great run game, so I think he's going to be ready to go. He's going to make some good decisions. I just hope he's not trying to force it, take it too much in his own hands, and just kind of lets the game come to him. That's going to be the biggest thing for Trevor. I know he's ready. I just think the only thing I'm worried about, like I said, is just him wanting to kind of shoulder everything himself.
Well, the BC Lions have the Western nominee for Outstanding Player, Outstanding Canadian, Outstanding Defender. But that doesn't matter. It's a team game. We'll find out if the Riders can take advantage of the bye and home field advantage and advance to the Grey Cup for the first time since 2013. We will analyze the Western Final and look forward to the Grey Cup, whoever is in it, on another edition of X's and O's.
X's and O's, brought to you by Campion College at the University of Regina.
Still ahead, we'll take you to a Saskatoon conference helping keep First Nations languages alive and well.
Let's take a look at your rural forecast heading into tomorrow. And yes, snow is on the way, and we'll expect to see that arrive in the morning, starting in the west, but then eventually this band of snow is going to make its way right across Saskatchewan. As you can see, a little heavier in some parts, lighter for areas like Lloydminster, expecting a daytime high of 0. Kindersley will see it more in the form of rain, 6 degrees there. Outlook, a mixed precipitation, snow and rain, 7 is their daytime high. Spiritwood -2 with snow, -1 for Meadow Lake, Melfort, and snow right across the board heading into tomorrow. Again, Prince Albert, Meadow Lake could see the heaviest in terms of snowfall accumulation, up to about 10-12 centimeters. But then when we get closer to the southern border, seeing more sunshine, warmer temperatures like 13 for Rockland, Maple Creek, 14 for Coronach, 12 for East End Cypress, and that precipitation more so in the form of rain for Assiniboia, Lumsden, Pilot Butte, seeing a daytime high of 7 degrees. But if we take a closer look at Hague, which is located about 50 kilometers north of Saskatoon, where we will see that snowfall. 1 is the expected daytime high. Will feel closer to about -4, -5. Winds up to about 35 kilometers an hour. And the snow in total, Hague could see around 5 centimeters of snow throughout the day tomorrow.
More than 500 people turned out for Day 2 of the First Nations Language Keepers Gathering in Saskatoon. Wednesday showcased a panel titled Learner's Journey on the Sacred Path of Language. It featured speakers who are in the process of learning their native language and are encouraging others to do so as well.
And I went down a really bad road for a little bit, and when I got better, the language started to come back a little bit. And I noticed, like, for a lot of years that I was running away from my language when I moved to the city. And when I got better, I had to realize that I had to be who I was in my identity. So it makes me feel whole learning my language.
The day also featured a number of workshops showcasing the different ways language can be taught to different age groups. SGI Canada and the Insurance Brokers Association of Saskatchewan are launching a new partnership called the Indigenous Broker Development Program. The program will recruit and train insurance brokers of First Nations, Métis, or Inuit heritage with the goal of fostering long-term careers in the insurance industry. SGI is contributing $750,000 to the 2-year pilot project, and participating brokerages can receive up to $25,000 for hiring and training.
This is particular. It's a two-pronged approach to solving some of the challenges we face in our province, especially in our Indigenous communities. One that creates job and opportunity for First Nation, Inuit, and Métis people, and secondly solves a workforce challenge for the brokerages across Saskatchewan. So it's a two-pronged approach that is really a win-win for both Indigenous opportunity and for the brokerages in Saskatchewan.
The initiative is part of efforts to support the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's calls to action. Here's a look at your markets as they stand tonight. TSX was up about 325 points to 30,100. The Dow Jones up about 225 to 47,311. As for the Canadian dollar, that was trading down slightly today at 70.88 cents U.S. Commodities, gold was up about $47.48 an ounce, just below the $4,000 mark. West Texas Intermediate crude was down about $1 to $59.60. Western Canadian Select down about 32 cents, just under $50 a barrel rather. Gas prices per liter are staying steady at $1.28.9 in Regina. Lowest you'll see is just over $1 a liter.
Canada's reporting a 5% drop in its revenue in its latest quarter. When 10,000 flight attendants went on strike in August, the airline had to cancel 3,000 flights. It cost the carrier $375 million. Just reimbursing customers came to $90 million. In an effort to trim costs, the airline recently slashed 400 management jobs. Uranium miner Cameco reported a small net loss of $158,000 for its latest quarter, but the company is increasing its dividend. And it recently inked a deal with Washington that will see it profit from a U.S. $80 billion push to build nuclear reactors. Buyers are still sitting on the sidelines in Toronto. Sales were down 9.5% last month compared to the year before. Prices were also down more than 7%. Experts say buyers are still worried about the economy, and that's keeping them from making the big purchase. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
All right, coming up tonight on CTV, we have The Floor, then Shifting Gears, that's that Tim Allen comedy, followed by The Amazing Race, then George and Mandy's First Marriage for one episode, then E-Talk, then national news, and then local news with Connor Chan at 11:30. Nominations are now open for the Regina Citizen of the Year presented by CTV. The Citizen of the Year award is given each year to an individual who exemplifies excellence in community service and is making a difference here in Regina. To find out how to nominate someone, guides are available here at CTV Regina. You can pay us a visit or on our website. The deadline to submit your nomination is Friday, December 5th. The announcement will come at the end of December. Well, Coca-Cola is rolling out a bit of a special treat for the holidays.
Of course. It's called Coca-Cola Holiday Creamy Vanilla, and it's the first limited edition holiday flavor for Coca-Cola in 5 years. The Atlanta-based beverage company says the drink is infused with, quote, smooth, creamy vanilla flavors that capture the joy of the season. The limited time drink is available in full and zero sugar versions as well. We might have to try that. All right, well, baseball fans and collectors can get their hands on a number of items from this year's World Series, but you'll need to dig pretty deep into your wallet for some of the most coveted items, Cole.
Major League Baseball is auctioning off balls, base plates, locker tags, and jerseys, among other things, from the series between the Toronto Blue Jays and Los Angeles Dodgers. One of the most expensive items on auction today is first base from Game 7, used between the 7th and 11th innings. Bidding on that items ends on November 9th and is currently in excess of $48,000.
What?
For the first base. You don't even get the set.
Yeah, what do you do with, I mean, I guess a collector would know what to do with it.
Collectors are all about that.
$48,000?
I'm still pretty fired up about this game, though, so 48 grand, that would be a big hit. Big hit.